Director of Communications and Media at Save the Children's Syria Response Center. Amjad Yamin, thanks so much for speaking to us. You know, usually dark humor wouldn't be considered good for small children, but in situations this desperate, I mean, it looks like that father has found the only way to keep his child a child.
These stories in Syria, there are plenty of them, unfortunately. We've met 3 children just a couple of months ago who've been working as grave diggers for the last years just to try and earn $1 or $2 for the entire family a day. These are children who are 6, 7, 8, and 9 years old who have to spend their entire day digging graves for other children just to survive, just to make sure that they have what they now see as some sort of normalcy to their daily lives. The heartbreaking stories of children are never ending. We met 3 other children, just as another example, who have been living in an abandoned car for the last 3 months.
So, I mean, are you saying, you know, this kind of dark humor that we saw in the report there in that viral video, and then routine, no matter how, you know, horrific it may sound to the rest of us to have children digging graves, are the ways in which you can help children with the psychological impact of war?
We try to get them out of these times. We try to restore some sense of normalcy to help them to provide what we call psychosocial support. But the horrifying reality on the ground is forcing children to adapt to their situation, to find new ways, like the father we saw in the video previously. They need to find ways to help the children get through this. And whatever works for them is what we try to help and support them. So a case like the child we saw in the video before, if this is helping the child deal with a lot of this, then this is the best we can do for them at this time, considering the conflict on the ground or the catastrophic events that they've had to go through, to live through.
Right. And, you know, the father in that video admitted that he was in a much better situation than a lot of parents because he had some just very basic necessities, like a roof over his head. There are these other children, of course, that are living in camps. Some of them are completely homeless. They're not just hearing those bombs, but they are seeing the absolute misery of the war around them, not least, you know, the freezing temperatures. How do you help those children? Are there means?
There's been an increase in support in the last few months for Idlib, but it is nowhere near enough. Sadly, we are now seeing a situation where living in a tent in the middle of winter under the snow is considered privilege. Families are going around the area for hours sometimes, sleeping in their own cars, sleeping on the side of the road, just to try and find some sort of protection for the children away from the conflict. We are providing, we and others on the ground are providing tents for people to live in, try to provide water, food, but it's nowhere near enough. Just for context, when we usually receive 3,000 people a day are displaced, that is a huge number. Now the trend is looking at 50,000 people a day. That's an increase of about 15 times what we consider is a high number of displacements. The needs are massive, and we don't even know where to start. People need literally everything.
Right.
They need a place to sleep, they need warmth, they need food. It is horrific on the ground.
Amjad, if you had the, you know, proverbial magic wand at your disposal, what would you do to ease this situation for the hundreds of thousands of refugees, women, children, men among them?
We need to work on 2 tracks. We need the international community not to forget the people of Idlib, to find a solution to this long term that will spare the children the violence that they're seeing on the ground on a daily basis. But at the same time, immediately, we need assistance. We need funds to be able to provide some food for these people, to provide some reprieve from the violence that's been relentless for them for the last 9 or 10 years.
Amjad Yamin, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it.